Hey guys, so listen, today's going to be a little different. I made a mistake, and it's going to be a perfect opportunity to talk about mistakes, um, and my mindset on mistakes, uh, how to overcome mistakes, and really just understand that mistakes are actually a really good thing to make, especially if you're surrounded by the right people. And so let's understand this mistake I made. Check this out. I set my 2022 goals. I want to say October of 21. It was somewhere around there, September, October. I was lined up, and one of the goals that I set for myself for 2022 was actually, this is a really good topic because I don't talk about this publicly very much, was to build my network, build my email list, build connections, build really just build a tribe is really what it comes down to. And so I got busy trying to get to know people I don't. And for a dude like me who has a lot going on, trying to get to know people is time consuming. So, but I understand that at 14 years in the game, I understand that, and I allot my time accordingly. And I think fundamentally speaking, I allot my energy correctly. But so here I am, right? I'm like, all right, I got some goals to crush, got some things to do for the year. And those are just a tidbit of the goals that we have set for me, for my companies, but we're not here to talk about that. Let's talk about the mistake I made. The mistake I made was, so knowing that it's 2022 and basically web 2 social medias is how to meet people digitally. um, I'm a part of a few Facebook groups, and I'm in a veteran based uh, business owner, entrepreneur, veteran based Facebook group. And I don't know how many people are in it. A lot. There's a lot of veteran business owners. Like, they served our country, they're vets, and they're business owners. So being a business owner is like, it's a slight anomaly in the first place. But then I'm trying to get to know like other savages like myself, or people of war, or people of combat that have made the transition into business owning. Because coming from combat, if anyone listening has experienced it, there's a whole different fucking world. And business is one too. So it's a really interesting individual to me. And I wanted to align myself with more veteran business owners. So I put a post up in the group, and I was like, anybody that wants to do a podcast swap where we go on each other's shows, comment below, let's connect. And probably 50 people wanted to network with me in that group. And 50 people is a good amount. I mean, most of the posts in that group don't get more than a comment or two. So it doesn't matter. Like, the amount of comments doesn't matter to me. The likes don't matter either. I just am who I am. My book sales don't matter to me. People want to read it, they read it. And the cool part is people are messaging me that it's changing their lives. That's what it's about. Not the book sales, not the likes, not the comments, not the shares. That's all bullshit. What is not bullshit is connecting with people. And so as my podcast is booked out through Q2 of guests, which is really awesome. It's also like a foreshadowing of what you're going to see over the course of this year as we're in year 5. Fuck, man, I remember the first show. Anyways, I'm not going to digress. I don't want to digress too much today. So I've been network with everyone, and so here we are today, right? I made a mistake. I made a mistake in my communication. And the interesting part about it is, communicating online for me, I think communication fundamentally for me was more of a challenge in the beginning of my life than it is now in my mid 30s. But it's considered a strong suit for me, and people seek me out to teach them communication. But I made a mistake in my communication in the post, and I got Chris Heering here on the show, and I'm going to turn it over to him here in a second. But my communication and the mistake of it, Chris is here for his first podcast. He's never been on one before. And I'm actually really excited to do this show because we had a conversation prior to the show and we connected on a few topics, but he's got a fucking killer story. And I really want to know more about it myself, selfishly. So, Chris, welcome to the show. Name of the show is the CW Clinic. And our listeners would be delighted to hear from you.
Hey, Chris.
So what's going on, man? How are you?
Good. How you doing, Abe? Just wanted to say thank you for having me on.
Of course, brother. Of course. You're a vet, right?
Yes, I am. I enlisted right out of high school, went to Iraq. Pretty early on, right out of basic, like I said, and from that point forward, I've just been doing my thing.
So before we get into that thing, who'd you serve for?
Army.
Yep. Which division?
So I was first off, I was originally a combat engineer. I've changed my MOSs throughout my career. I'm in the Guard now.
12 Bravo.
12 Bravo. Yep. It was 21 Bravo when I enlisted, and then they switched it back to 12 Bravo. And I'm currently at 12 Whiskey and moving on to 12 November. So I'm just picking up different MOSs to have my upward mobility, because it's hard in the Guard to get promoted.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I hit E5 at bare minimum 2 years and 6 months.
Right.
In the 101st, there's competition.
Right.
To get promoted. Probably much different than your situation, but I was good.
Yeah.
Well, I was good. I still am, damn it.
Yeah.
And, but no, I get it. I mean, as being a grunt, you got to be good at shooting machine guns. You got to be good at communication. You got to be good at teamwork, and you got to be good at PT. And I was good at all of it. So I excelled, but we're not here about me. Well, so now that we know that, and that you've been to Iraq once.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So you got back from Iraq, unless you want to talk about Iraq, and what's been going on?
Oh, well, being in Iraq was a good thing for me. I learned a lot of things, and it gave me a different perspective on the world, seeing how little they had there, and with with war, in combat, and losing people that are close to you. It teaches you things about yourself, and that it also teaches you about the world, and how difficult the world can be, and how much adversity you're going to face in life. And especially at a young age, you're not even a real adult. You're just barely getting hair on your balls, and you're thrown into a situation where it's life or death, and you make bonds with the men to your left and right that are forever, be stronger than blood. But besides that, coming back, I came back with a gratitude that opened my eyes to how the world really is. And it taught me, resiliency, and being able to just adapt to whatever situation that is thrown my way.
And there's so many things I want to say, but yeah, dude, like when I was living in Iraq, I didn't realize that people in the world didn't have running water
Yeah.
in their houses,
Or
or
running sewage too.
or have a
Really.
toilet,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, they're literally shitting in holes in the ground.
Yeah. And then,
Uh
and not only that, but it's running through the streets. You got these little canal ditches just full of feces, and you're trying to walk around in it. And
yo, how about when you're in a firefight and you're laying in it?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man, like I remember I was like green as fuck, right? I was like one of my first patrols. Yeah. And I'm looking up and I see shit coming out of like the second or third story of the building, because
Mm,
I was in Baghdad, so it was like pretty urban, you know?
right.
And it's like shit spilling out of like some PVC pipe going straight into the road, like down 20 feet, just shit splattering everywhere. And you're like, hmm, gonna
Yeah.
try to avoid getting hit by that shit.
Yeah. Well,
And it puts this perspective of how cupcake our country really is. way
yeah.
of life way of life like we actually, I was just having this assistant with excuse me, I was just having this conversation with my team prior to this show, right? um i I really, I like lots of music, but I really resonate well with hip hop artists
Yep.
because they tell stories about trials and tribulations,
Yeah.
and they tell stories about growing up on streets and in ghettos and whatnot. And it's like, I didn't grow up in a ghetto. I didn't.
Hmm.
However, I lived in the ghetto of the world,
Yeah.
you know, and so have you. And like, I was like talking to her, talking to the team, and I was like, guys, like, it resonates so well with me. And they're like, well, how? And I'm like, well, they didn't really have it that bad. They're talking about like low socioeconomic status or quote ghetto areas of one of the wealthiest countries in the world. So you have
Yeah.
to put it into perspective. Like
Yeah.
Iraq is like the poorest war-torn country in the world.
Yeah.
A ghetto in America is in America, one of the wealthiest countries, progressive countries, most powerful countries, strongest countries to ever be in the world.
Yeah.
So the opposite end of the spectrum is Iraq, right?
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you do you agree?
I completely agree.
And I'm not
And
downplaying like violence growing up in ghettos in America. I'm just saying, on the grand scheme of things, it
mhm.
could be a lot worse.
Oh yeah.
So, so yeah, I was
Yeah.
having that conversation today, actually.
It's interesting too, because you'll have people that that are from there that are growing up in it, and they're there every single day. We were there for just under a year, and we were just super grateful when we came back to the States. Like, man, we got all this stuff that's so much nicer, and we have these no problems like they have, and they've lived there all their life, and will continue to live there all their life, in that war torn environment, and they have nothing, and they still walk around with smiles on their faces. They just adapt to it, and then we have people here in this new generation, and these people complain about everything, and it just makes you just want to shake them and like, yo, like, what's so really bad about what's going on, in
And
your life that
I want to table that just for a second. We're going to talk about that.
okay.
But I think before we talk about that, you should tell a little bit about trials and tribulations,
Yeah.
so we can apply this gratitude mindset that we have going through hard times per se, and then being able to look at society and be like, what's going on with this generation? Like, it's not really that bad. So
Yeah. So
so lay it on me.
Yeah, so I grew up in foster care. My mother was never really around, and my father, after he got out of the service, he had a drug addiction. So I was taken away by CPS, and I grew up in the system in foster care, and I bounced around from family to family until I was about 15. When I was 15, I emancipated. I went through the state and found a program that allowed me to basically be my own guardian. At that point, I moved in with my grandmother until I was able to, get steady on my feet. And as soon as I graduated high school, I knew that I needed to do something with my life, and I needed discipline because I wasn't getting the discipline from a, institutionalized, from, group homes and foster care. So I joined the military, and it, for one, it helped me, you know, become, it gave me the foundation to become who I am now. But it from the beginning, it started me. I had these people to the left and my right, my brothers, and it showed me, like, no matter who you are, where you come from, we're all the same, really. And moving forward with that, after I graduated boot camp, we were ramping up. Our up tempo was pretty high at the time, and they told us, you guys are going overseas, and it happened. We went overseas pretty quick, and we first went to Baghdad, and then we moved to Balad, and so we were kind of a little bit in the country, away from town there. And through my time there, actually, let me backtrack a little bit. I got married early, just like most soldiers do. I wouldn't say it was a mistake, but looking hindsight, it was kind of a mistake. And knowing that I was going overseas, I wanted to have a child. So I had a child with my now ex-wife. And dealing with everything overseas, we lost two guys, and we were one of the last rotations to actually have R&R. So they don't do R&R anymore. So I went home. My kid was born, my first son, Connor. So that was a really great time in my life. It kind of gave me the motivation to go back and, like, let's finish this off. Like, we had a rough start in the first half, because I was, my R&R was like right in the middle of the deployment. So I came back, finished the deployment. And when I finished my deployment, I was 21. I turned 21 in Iraq, got my CDL, and I started truck driving. And that was kind of like my way of coping, because I had a lot of issues with, social issues. I had a hard time talking to people and just being in groups, and I didn't like working with people. So I was like, you know what, being a truck driver would be great. I'm by myself. I can kind of I could be in my own head, and I can just do work and provide for my family. I did that for a little while, and we had a second deployment coming up to Afghanistan. And so again, I was like, oh, I'm going on another deployment. Let's have another child. So then we consummated, and we were expecting a child, and we were ramping up. And I was in Fort Bliss at the time. We were doing our pre-mob training, and I had a knee injury. And so I basically got put on rear deck. All of my guys got to go ahead and deploy, and that kind of hurt me a little bit. I really wanted to go and be there with my brothers. And around that time, everything in my life just started falling apart. I started getting depressed. I was having trouble with my marriage. My marriage was kind of falling apart. My father wasn't doing so great. Let me say, me and my father, we never had a great relationship until after I joined the military and became an adult. I reconnected, and he got sober, but all the years of his drug use was catching up to him, and it was just deteriorating him. So, our marriage was failing. I didn't get to deploy. And while I was at Fort Bliss on rear debt, I basically wrote out my ETS date. My ETA date was approaching, and I didn't want to re-enlist, because I was just so upset. So I ended up getting out. I continued trucking. My marriage just kept getting worse and worse, because I just wasn't in the right headspace. And shortly after I got out, my father passed. and it hit me hard. You know, I was like, he was the only person that I was really close to in the blood side of my family. So that hurt a lot. But over the years, I just kind of pushed through. I ended up getting a divorce from my wife at the time, and because of the divorce, I inherited all the debt, and I knew I wasn't even going to be able to afford the debt, so I filed bankruptcy, and that right there was the turning point in my life, because I believe it taught me to start being financially literate. And so with that being said, it motivated me to do better and to get back on track. And from that point forward, I've been doing great. I think I just needed that, that big life shock to really wake me up and say, hey, you got to bounce back from this. And that's exactly what happened, really.
So, so all of these things happen, right? And none are less or more important than others.
Right.
But we get to this pinnacle of you got to start over, right? Divorce,
Right.
bankruptcy. So, as I've never been divorced, either or, I have, I have a Purple Heart. So I was almost killed that day, like the closest to being killed.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was almost
Right.
killed a lot of times,
Yeah.
but I actually got fucked up one day.
Yeah.
So that like similar in a sense, like, all right, I'm starting over in your mind. You're like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
here. I got it. I'm alive. Like, what are we going to do?
Right.
And I've in through business over the years, I've done a lot of things that yeah, you basically rebuild. And so I can relate. But so when that situation happens, your kids, your wife, your bankruptcy, like what'd you do? Like, where'd you go? What happens?
Actually, the funny thing is immediately after my divorce was finalized, I moved to Alaska, where I'm currently at now. And this place will make you or break you regardless of who you are and what your background is. This
I've
is a
heard.
Alaska. A lot of people, people say is Alaska, it makes you or breaks you, but you either find yourself or you go missing or something, but uh, I don't know. I think it really helped me out. It helped clear my mind. I met some great people here, and it sparked me to get back to a place where I was comfortable. So I re-enlisted into the Guard, and I want to say the Guard is a really great thing. Like if anybody's looking to join the military, I'd say if you just want to get a taste, you could join the Guard and still have many great benefits. But I only say that because I worked in recruiting and retention, so I kind of got that, want to get people in. But
Listen, I'm too old. All right, they won't let me in anymore. I'm 36.
Yeah.
I think there are some special cases of like doctors or attorneys that can come in past, I believe, 35. Is that the cutoff?
Now I think it's like 42 is the waiver.
Oh, there's a waiver.
Oh yeah, you can get in and up to
I'm thinking about joining the National
50s.
Guard right now. Now I have an MBA. Okay, I'm not going in as a fucking sergeant. I'm going in as a butter bar lieutenant.
You just said you're old at 35, and you're making me feel old, because I've been telling myself, oh, I feel so old, but my wife's telling me, no, you're young. And I was like, I turned 32 this year. What are you talking about? So I'm not too far behind you. But yeah, I don't know. It's a really great place to get your mind right, because it forces you to succeed, because there's not a lot here. It's not like the lower 48. Alaska is a totally different place. You have to hustle, and that's where I learned, hustling. That's what I did. Like I started my what is now my clothing business, but I actually started it as a drop shipping business. Going back when I said I became more financially literate after my bankruptcy, the reason being is because after my bankruptcy, I had to learn how to manage my money better. And I started reading and learning about just everything finances. I was just super tuned into it. But I started getting in these side hustles. I started doing drop shipping, and I noticed that, hey man, this online shopping, like it's big. You know, Amazon was already doing really well. And I was like, let me try my hand at it. So I started doing it, and then I self-branded it. I was like, oh, I'm gonna start doing my own clothing, and it's done well since. But I had that drive to just keep going for more and more. So every time I see somebody else doing something, well, let me try it, you know. Um, and so I've just developed all these different side hustles. You know, I would get on Fiverr and freelance different services. I would I would just do a myriad of different things. But it really sparked my interest in just doing my own thing. And from that point until now, I've done so much to the point where I don't have to work a job. I can do my own thing. I set my own schedule, and I'm happy with it. You know, I'm happily remarried, and I have an you know, I have my kids, and I'm just super happy and grateful for what I have now. And I think all of the adversity that I faced has molded me to appreciate what I have, and be able to be very resilient. I can face any challenge and get over it. So I'd say the adversities and the bad things that happen in my life have only motivated me to be better. And I'll continue to be that way, because, you know, with COVID, I think everyone can attest to this, that COVID was hard, you know, for everybody. It doesn't matter who you are and what your background is. It challenged people, and that challenge has like 3x my net worth. Because let's just give an example. So I was working in recruiting and retention. So I was on a full salary. I was active duty with the guard. So I didn't financially, I wasn't stressed, but I now had a lot of free time because we were teleworking. And when you have all that time on your hands, especially with a person like me, I've got all these thoughts running through my head, and I'm not a very patient person and not very sociable. So I was just trying to think of all these different ways, like how can I fill in my time when I have it. So I started focusing more on my business, and what I realized is during COVID, everybody was buying online. So I was like, I'm going to really just go all in on my online business. And that's what I did. And it thrived because everybody had this stimulus money. And I was like, oh, well, I know when people are going to get paid because they're announcing these stimulus dates. So I just focused all my marketing money onto those dates on Facebook. I was advertising on Facebook, and I was getting sales. And I don't know. I think just that experience alone has taught me, like, hey, no matter what life throws at you, there's something to be made of it. And I think being resilient is just one of the greatest things the military taught me.
Dude, you're so right, man. Resilient. That's a good word. Um, and we're gonna work it into the title of this show. But you know, so much could be said right now after everything that you just said. And I think one of the biggest misconceptions entrepreneurs specifically have, right? But people as well, half the battle is just not quitting.
Right.
You know, dude, I've built 6 companies. I've employed hundreds of people. I've made millions and millions of dollars. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. None of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a part of the journey.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, and what matters is what I'm about to say. And a lot of times people are like, well, Chris, what'd you do differently? And it's like, nothing, dude. I just fucking didn't quit.
Yeah.
And I'm never gonna quit. Ever.
Yeah.
I have a fucking Purple Heart. I'm still here.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't like stop me.
Yeah.
And you have to have that resilience in your mindset
Yeah.
with life, especially if you
Yeah.
have a business. If you listen, let's just talk about something else real quick. If you can live off the amount of money your business makes, all right, you're doing well.
Yeah.
You're doing really well. Okay. Don't get caught up in this bullshit Instagram with these fucking idiot 20-year-olds in Lamborghinis and mansions. It's not real. It's not
Oh
fucking.
man,
I've been an entrepreneur for 14 years. It's not real. It's
I
not.
want to say
The
I want to say something.
closest, hang on. And I'm gonna let you say it. Keep it right here. The closest thing is like Jake Paul and like his brother. Like they're young and they're killing it. Like they're real. These fucking idiots on Instagram are not. But if you're waking up, not quitting, and providing for your family through your business, you're doing great. And to get to the next level, you just don't quit. That's just what it comes down to. And the levels above that, and the dudes that are above me that reach down and extend their hand to teach me, they're like, yo, you just can't quit. And I'm like, oh, good, because I don't quit. Well,
Yeah.
let's go. So, and I just wanted to get that statement out. So tell me what you were going to say.
Well, you brought up the 20-year-old in Lamborghini, but that was me at 31 or 30 when I was down in Vegas. Business was booming during COVID. We opened up a pop-up store, and that was me. I was driving the Lamborghini and the Aston Martin. So it's all over my Instagram. So I just laugh at that when you said that, because you said it was fake. And yeah, there's people that'll go out and lease one and try to be flashy. But
Oh,
I was at a
did
point
you
in my
rent them?
no, I leased them. I leased
Oh,
them.
nice.
But yeah, it's just funny you say that, because I got to a point in my life where I was doing really well, and I was like, you know what, I gotta have something to show for it. You know, I've always been a really big car guy. I love cars, and so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna be just like that. And I noticed real quick, I was like, no matter how much money you have, like it gets old really fast. Like
Yep.
you can be lavish. And I lived on the Las Vegas Strip. I lived in Beer Towers, which is right next to Aria. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Las Vegas. Had a condo on the Strip, doing really well. And I noticed in the year that I lived in Vegas, I was like, you know, this isn't all what it's all cracked up to be. So I ended up moving back to Alaska, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go struggle more. And I'm happier more in Alaska, making maybe about the same amount of money, but not like living lavishly. I'm like, I'm happy, and I'm happy and content with very little. I don't need a lot. What makes me happy is the drive and being able to provide something to other people. And what I provide is with my clothing business, like for family, friends, or anybody who wants to order on my website. We do our designs for clothing, and I just like giving. I like to do stuff for people. Like I have one of my buddies, he's a warrant officer now, but he was enlisted when we were got back from our deployment. And I made him a shirt and sent him a care package. And I don't know, I just like giving. I'm a very giving person, so I enjoyed helping others and doing for others than doing for myself, because you get that little dopamine hit when you're doing something cool or spending money, but it just fades away. It's not as exciting what people think it is.
Dude, I've had a Porsche in my driveway and it was old after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like it goes beyond money.
Yeah.
There's purpose, right?
Yeah.
There's purpose. And once you make a bunch of money, you're just like, okay.
I think the most valuable thing really is just my time, like being able to live day to day and not have to worry about anything. I had passive income coming in. I'm like, oh, once I meet my weekly or monthly goal to, all my bills are paid, and I'm like, oh, well, what do I do now? Like, let's go find something else to do.
Exactly.
I think the time is the most important thing. I can spend time with my family.
And what I wanted to say was, most entrepreneurs that are 21 on Instagram in a Lamborghini in a mansion. And when I say most, it's like 99% of them.
Oh yeah.
That's what I meant by fake. Like,
yeah,
like I get it. Like I have a $45,000 watch on my wrist right now. Like It's not
Yeah.
about money. It's not. It's about time. Time. Notice the connection watch on my wrist. Time is your
Yeah.
most valuable asset. And
Yeah.
what is freedom in entrepreneurship in life is
Yeah.
freedom of time and what you do with your time. I've been building my schedule for 14 years, and there gets to be a point eventually where you're so free to build your schedule. You're like, huh, this is quite fun. Well, how do I
Yeah.
want to spend my days? Think
Yeah.
about it. How do you want to spend your day and do whatever it is that you want to do? For a dude like me, it's fucking hustle. I love to give. I think you'd like my
Yeah.
book. I have a chapter on giving,
Yeah.
and it's called Being a Good Human.
Yeah.
And
I'll check that out.
but that's chapter 6. But anyways, the point is, and what I'm getting at is, that's a powerful story, and I like how you paint it, and I think that you telling your story more, especially on like a podcast and or a YouTube channel, would probably be awesome for a lot of people to learn from
Yeah.
fundamentally. So, I'm going to close this out now, but I just want you to know that I respect everything that you said. And
Oh, thank you.
coming from someone who's probably been on a very similar journey, um, I really appreciate you giving your time
Yeah.
to
Thank you.
me and us, everyone
You as
listening.
well.
And so where can we find you? Like, let's say I wanted to like find you on Instagram. Where will we find you? What's your website?
All of my social media is all Chris Heering. So at Chris Heering for my Instagram and my YouTube. My website is chrisheering.com. All that's linked in the Instagram as well. So it's pretty easy to find. I'm pretty ranked high on Google. If you type in Chris Heering, it's going to be the very top whatever search on there. My SEO is pretty good.
Very good. Very good. Cool, man. Thank you for uh giving us your time. And if you had a final word to say, maybe you were going to give someone a piece of advice that's struggling right now and really needs to understand that it's not as bad as we make it out to be. And if you had to give that person some type of advice and to close the show out, what would you say?
It's hard to really just tell somebody what to do because everybody thinks differently. But the one thing I could say is just just keep going and know that whatever life throws at you, that's only one thing in the moment. You just have to keep going, keep pushing forward. It's only going to get better. And if you think you're at your worst, then you're really at your best, because when you're at rock bottom, the only place you can go is up. So just keep going forward and don't give up. I don't know, it's just, you just got to keep going.
Don't quit.
Don't quit. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And it's
Well,
it's easier said than done, but just got to do it.
yeah. Yeah. Excellent advice. Excellent advice. So before we go, guys, if you're watching this show on YouTube, all right, if you learned anything from Chris, smash the like button. And honestly, most importantly, let me know, or let Chris know what you thought of the show below in the comments, and let's talk about it. Like, maybe something really landed with you that Chris said. I think it would be important that we all discuss it, because fundamentally speaking, the community, the tribe of listeners and what everybody thinks is important. So hit the like button, drop a comment. Thank you for your time, and we'll catch you next time.